Oh, yes. It's happening again, my friends. We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm seeing all the folks streaming in right now. Let's go. Keep on coming in. Keep on coming in, my friends. We have a very, very special episode with you folks. We are giving out style tips with my friend Jason here. So please make sure you stay tuned. Thank you so much for popping on today, Jason.
Happy to be here, man. Very, very happy to be here. This is great. Reporting live from Consensus.
Let's
Hong
go.
Kong.
Woo! Okay, now we if we got a little bit of time towards the end, we may have to talk a little bit about your experience there as well.
You
If you
got
got
it, man. Happy to.
awesome, dude, awesome. All right, let me go ahead and introduce this thing. Everyone who's streaming in right now, also, if you'd like to participate, maybe ask some questions, say some comments, all those fun things. If you're looking at this on Twitter, you can go ahead and just click on the tweet itself. Once you do that, there's going to be a chat box that pops up over to the right. You can go ahead and ask any questions or leave any comments right here. I see we got one from Pocahontas right here saying hi. Hello, Pocahontas. Welcome, 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 my friend. But to get this thing started, we're going to sit down with my friend Jason here. Wakanda, what's up? What's up, Kyle? What's up, Kyle? What's up, Wakanda? We're going to sit down with my friend Jason Brink here. He's the CEO of DataGram. We're going to discuss how DataGram's been pioneering the decentralized physical infrastructure networks, aka DePINs, baby. And with its Avalanche, especially with its Avalanche-based Layer 1, baby, you already know what we're going to do. I love it. We're also going to explore the transparency, scalability, and efficiency of DataGram's infrastructure. We're going to talk a little bit about the DataGram Cores, of course. We're going to dive deep into that. That's something that I really, really want to dive deep into. And we're going to talk about the vision for Web 5.0, right? We in Web 3.0. Jason, my friend, is thinking way in the
Let's
future.
do it. Let's do it, man.
Love it. Skip 4.0. Let's go straight to 5, baby.
And ain't nobody got time for that. It's fine. We're going right past it.
Hey, we don't need it, baby. We're going to talk about how that merges like the best of Web 2 and Web 3. We'll also compare DataGram's approach to traditional cloud infrastructure. And then we'll give Jason some space to share any exciting updates that he has on the horizon. But I guess just to kick this thing off, my friend, could you give us a quick overview of what you've built over here at DataGram?
Sure, man. So DataGram comes out of my desire to make DePIN and node networks actually really do stuff. Decentralized physical infrastructure is absolutely a critical piece of sort of the future of Web3. And even beyond the future of Web3. I mean, it's something that Web3 depends on massively. I mean, so for example, anytime you do something with IPFS, you're interacting with the DePIN network. Anytime you access anything that's stored on a decentralized cloud, you're interacting with DePIN. DePIN is very, very, very important. But most of the DePIN networks out there are not as robust as they could be. And so this was kind of the inspiration for making DataGram into what it is today. It's based primarily on the work of a brilliant man named Dr. William Nguyen. He's the sort of the founder of a lot of the ideas that DataGram and DePIN today are based on. He was working at Lawrence Livermore Labs in the 90s using decentralized infrastructure for computational biology. Super cool stuff. He went on from there to create a number of businesses, and one of those that we've worked together on is DataGram. And DataGram is one of the most robust DePIN layers that has ever been created. It offers the ability for any project to come in and spin up a DePIN network. When you think of Ethereum, you think of token launches. When you think of Solana, you think of meme coins. When you think of DataGram, you should think of DePIN, because we're here to be the substrate upon which all of the rest of the DePIN projects out there are based on.
Okay. Look, we got a lot of different places that we can go with that.
Let's go with it, man.
Let's go, baby. Let's flow. So I'm thinking like I'd like to dive in a little bit further into like what is DePIN and kind of what differentiates it from, let's say, a more traditional kind of landscape.
Sure. So DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, right? That's basically what it means. It's when you break that down, what it is a bunch of different computers in different places doing different tasks that all support is the same overarching goal of a network. So the best example of this that most people in Web3 are at least peripherally aware of is IPFS. The interplanetary file system, right? So anytime you work with a you know, your favorite NFT project, most of the time they have their images and their metadata stored on IPFS. Okay. Now, this is based on a very, very large network of different systems that are all storing that data and are helping route information between one another, so that when somebody goes to look for a specific file, it knows where to find it in that larger network, right? This is what DePIN is for most people. Going beyond that, though, what DePIN can be is a much larger and much more complex structure that essentially allows for the removal of centralized infrastructure like AWS type things, and the replacement of that with decentralized infrastructure, which is much more anti-fragile, much more censorship resistant, and in many cases can be a little bit more resilient. So if your data center goes down and you're based in that only that data center, then you're kind of hosed. But if you're based on a DePIN network that has nodes all over the place, when the data center goes down, you stay up, and that's a pretty important component.
Yeah, that's a wildly important component.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about like how do folks get involved specifically in DePIN, and like what are the different kind of market segments that utilize it?
Sure. So I mean, if you wanted to try using something like DataGram, you could just go to demo.datagram.network, spin up a node, and try it. One of the things that we're going to be launching over the next couple of weeks is the alpha network, which is basically everyone running nodes, participating in the network, using it as much as they possibly can in sort of a public stress test, and seeing what it's like. And if you try this out, what you're going to find is the first use case that we've built out, which I want to be very clear about this. This is not DataGram. It is simply a thing that is built on top of DataGram that anyone can use. Okay. The first use case is video conferencing. So, right now you and I are having this conversation, and it's, we're in a particular platform here, very, very straightforward for us. But we could also do something like this within DataGram. You're having a Zoom call, you can do something like that with DataGram. Google Meets can replace it with DataGram. And it has not necessarily all of the functionality, since those are much more mature platforms, but it has a lot of the same functionality that you would need, and is a little bit easier and quicker. And the really cool thing about this is that as you do this, as you use this platform, all of that data, all of the usage statistics, and all of the node uptime information is actually recorded to chain, which is super cool. So you can, connect, have a call, and then look at the chain and actually see the deduction of your data credits and the adding of UDP and whatnot on chain to the account of the node that hosted the calls. Very cool.
Yeah, this is like super interesting. So I know you talked a little bit about, DataGram is more like, let's say, robust than other DePIN networks. Can you dive in a little bit further on like what makes it more robust?
Well, one of the things that you run into with a lot of data or DePIN networks is a lot of them have a great degree of centralization. Okay, so you can have a node network that, large number of nodes, but all of their uptime is recorded basically in a MongoDB, for example. because that's the easy way to do it. Most projects fall into this category. Very few projects have gone sort of the extra length to build out sort of the decentralized tracking of things on chain. So, that's one thing that DataGram has that is quite unique. The other thing, though, is that DataGram operates as a substrate. Okay, let me explain a little bit what that means. So think of DataGram as a train. Okay, and when you have this train, you've got flat cars on that train. Okay, anyone can put any different container on top of that flat car and carry that workload along. So DataGram is the flat cars upon which everyone else's DePIN containers can be based. So you want to build out a streaming system, no problem. You can go ahead and do that on top of the DataGram substrate. You want to have a DCDN, great, build it on top of the DataGram substrate. And we make this available for DePIN projects for free to use, tracking all of their uptime, getting all of their information as, they can pull it down from an API from our network operations center. Really, really easy for people to access. And then they do their distribution wherever they would like. Now, we track all of our uptime in AVAX L1. Okay, we're part of the Retro 9000 initiative. And, you can look at all of that easily on-chain, explorable. It's just beautifully elegant. And then you can do the distribution wherever you'd like. You can do it on AVAX. You can do it on, pick an L1 and you do your own distribution there, because it's just based on the data that you're pulling down from Avalanche. It's very cool.
Actually, I want to dive a little bit into your decision about, utilizing the Avalanche L1 for DataGram.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, why you decided to go with Avalanche specifically? Actually, talk a little bit about why you decided to build out an L1, because I know you're going a little bit of a different path than a lot of the DePINs out there. And then, why Avalanche specifically?
Well, so now I'm gonna how do I say this? This is one of those conversations that might rankle a few people here and there. But I firmly believe, that the future is multi-chain. Okay, that back a few years ago, there was this sort of narrative, and it looked like you were going to have like this battle of the L1s. Okay, looked like you're going to have a battle of the L1s, but that's not the way that I'm seeing things shape up right now. Okay, what I'm seeing is that chains are becoming ubiquitous. Okay. Everyone can have a blockchain. And it's gotten to the point where companies are starting to treat blockchains like databases. Okay. And that's not, exactly correct. But it's close enough for like the average person to understand. And so the reason for me, that I really like Avalanche and the L1 on Avalanche is that it's weirdly similar to what we're doing with DePIN. Okay. Because by having a substrate, which Avalanche is in this case, and being able to have sort of these discrete L1 networks that are all parallel and interoperable with one another to a large extent, it creates a system where you can have a larger aggregation of activity and liquidity that connects in a very, very seamless fashion with one another. Then the next step down from that is other EVM sort of environments where it's pretty easy to move from one EVM environment to another, and then things get more difficult from there. But that's for me one of the main reasons that I really like the Avalanche ecosystem, as well as the fantastic support that you guys bring to the space.
We appreciate the love too, my friend. That's something I've been hearing from a lot of folks lately when they're talking about why they chose Avalanche specifically. It's because there's a lot of love given to people that are like building on top of Avalanche, specifically from our team. So it's really, really good to hear that, from everybody, especially from you, Jason, as well. Just so that we know, like for us on the back end, like, hey, we're doing the right thing. We're creating an environment to where builders feel like they can come in and they can build, they can get help, mentorship, whatever it is that they need in order to be successful. And I think that's pretty important, especially when choosing the specific chain you're going to build on top of.
I mean, for me, the community is the key, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Community is absolutely the core of everything in this space. If you don't have a community, if you don't service that community, you don't take care of their needs, then you don't have anything.
Yeah.
And you guys do a decent job of taking care of your community, and that's something that I really appreciate.
And we appreciate you so much too, Jason. And so there's like some, for me and for everyone out there, for me personally, like DePIN, very, very new to me. I've done a bunch of research in order to go ahead and talk to Jason and not feel like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm talking about. But
it's all good, man. It's all good.
I'm definitely coming from the perspective of someone that is interested in trying to learn with this specific interview. And so, I was researching the DataGram, and it talks a lot about the DataGram cores. I think there's 5 different core types. Can you talk a little bit about these cores and like, what are they?
Sure. So there's some of that is marketing language that has escaped a little bit to a certain extent. So I probably want to dial some of that back. So you have essentially, there's a couple types of things here. The first is having a full core. Okay, having a full core means that you have a license to operate a node. You purchased that license or one was given to you. There's a few other ways that you can potentially get that in the future. But you have a license to operate a node. Now, what that means, operating a full core, means that you are receiving credit for uptime as well as usage. Okay, because your primary job as a DataGram full core contributor is to support the DataGram network. Okay. Then you have what we refer to as partner cores. Okay. Now these are different nodes essentially that are running the DataGram substrate. So let's say for a second that you had a project that you wanted to have where you were creating a live streaming service. Okay, so you spin up your own DePIN network and you use the DataGram substrate. Now we help you provide uptime tracking and usage statistics, but your substrate also does your stuff. So your primary goal for your DePIN network is to do your streaming service, right? Now it also supports the DataGram network, of course. Okay, that's why we do this, right? It supports the DataGram network, but you really only get credit if you're actually doing something for the DataGram network from DataGram. Now, your project gives credit for its DePIN requirements according to its rules, its setup, all of that. But if you would only receive credit from DataGram if you were routing a call for DataGram or routing a data stream for DataGram in some way, shape, or form, right? Then beyond that, we also have, and this is one of the things that's quite unique to this, is the node architecture for DataGram can operate on a lot of different types of processors, including sort of your standard processors and ARM processors. What this means is that you can basically run DataGram nodes on things like Raspberry Pis or routers or smart TVs or things like that. So that's where you get into the device core territory. And those are really kind of your 3 primary ways that people would interact with the network. You could also just spin up your own self-hosted node to do some stuff with for testing and things like that, which you can do right now, again, at demo.datagram.network. But yeah, that's basically the gist of the different structure pieces out there.
I really, really appreciate you for kind of going in depth about those different cores. I know through my research that, I was looking up things and they're talking about DePINs and how there's like some sort of, obviously with the blockchain, there's incentivization structures as well, kind of
Correct.
ironing on into there. Can you talk a
Right.
little bit about these incentivization structures?
Sure. I mean, and this is what makes DePIN and distributed compute really very interesting,
Mhm.
because one of the things that's really important about DataGram is that if you're doing something on DataGram, you have the potential to have a cost savings of 70 to 90% over sort of your centralized competitors.
Wow.
Okay, now if you're a business, that's freaking huge.
That's
Okay,
massive.
that's a massive number.
Yeah.
Okay, now with that, how is that achieved? Right, like that's the first question that people ask. Right, how do you do that?
Mm.
How is it cheaper? The reason that it's cheaper is that when you go with a centralized service provider, okay, pick any three-letter centralized service provider for hosting and things like that that you care to. What you're looking at is you're looking at an entirely vertically integrated structure where they own the hardware, they own the bandwidth, they own the software, they own everything in the entire, up and down. Now, what this means is that if you're rewarding them for this, if you're paying them essentially, right? The reason that you would pay them, okay, is to use all of this stuff, which means you have to pay for all of it. When you work with DePIN, when you work with a DePIN network in this case, and when you work with DataGram, in many cases, you're not just using purpose established infrastructure. Okay, you're using parallel compute infrastructure across a range of devices. Okay, which the protocol itself rewards. So rather than a company, okay, paying for a server, what you end up with is a bunch of people contributing resources, being rewarded by a protocol, okay? And then you as a user or as another company coming to work with us and sort of like the protocol to business to consumer pipeline, what you find is that it becomes much more efficient because you're not working just with that centralized source that has essentially a monopoly on things. You're working with a much more distributed, diffuse network that becomes much more financially efficient.
Jason, based off what you said, man, it sounds like this hugely benefits the everyday person. Now I,
Yeah,
as like a regular person, can, maybe have some sort of passive income kind of coming in
could
and
do. Yeah,
from my computing power. And then also from the business standpoint, now I can also have some cost savings as well. I mean, 70 to 80%, that's nothing to scoff at. That's
no, it's nothing to stop it. Now, this is one of the crazy things, though. Like, this is what's super cool about this is that if you are running, okay, well, I mean, just a fact here, really quick, before we jump in, users who have gone through the DataGram network. Okay, 2 million users, most of which have no idea that they are using Web3 distributed infrastructure. Oh no, you're
Really?
gone. There you go, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect,
Did, did,
perfect.
did you hear the 2 million users part? You
Yeah.
were super still for a second.
You said 2 million users that are currently using DePIN. They have no idea.
2 million users who have gone through DataGram, okay, that do not know that they're using distributed Web3 infra.
Really?
Yep, no idea. Now, the reason that this is
Yeah.
because the DataGram model. Okay, I want you to think of a connected chain here. DataGram is based on a protocol to business to consumer model. Okay. So my primary focus is between the protocol and the business. Okay. Now, you run a business, you want to, let's say you want to, spin up, Breevy Talk. Okay. That is going to be a secure communications app. Okay. Now, you can build this on DataGram today using the existing documentation if you wanted to. Today, don't need to ask for permission. You can just go build it. Okay.
Yeah.
You build this thing out and you charge users, okay, via a credit card or crypto or donuts or whatever the hell it is that you want to take. Okay. And users can then use your service. Okay. Make secure communications with one another, whatever it is. Okay. And then you simply pay DataGram, okay, by burning tokens. Now, critical to note here, every time DataGram is paid, it is always via a token burn, okay? So there's not like, we're not taking tokens in from sales and then selling them onto the market. It's always a burn, okay? Which that burn, using the burn and mint equilibrium model, means that eventually that re-emits to node operators, okay? Which is super, super, super important. But what this means though is that your users, okay, using Breevy Talk, right, have no idea that they're using decentralized infrastructure, and it doesn't matter. Okay, this is why I talk about Web 5.0. It's Web 2 and Web 3 combined. You got the best of both worlds, because you get the resiliency of the decentralized infrastructure. You as a business get the cost reduction and cost savings, okay, which allows you to have higher margins and have more competitive pricing. And your users get better pricing, great service, and they have no idea that they're using decentralized infrastructure. And they don't need to know. It doesn't matter to them. They just want stuff that works.
Dude, I love this specific mindset. For years I've been talking about how when blockchain originally started, everyone kind of saw Web3 as almost a selling point. So like that's kind of like the main stick,
right?
Is that
that's because we were just selling crap to each other. I mean, we like the same 5,000 people selling NFTs to one another back in the day. Like, if we're going to grow this, we have to really grow it. And the way that we grow it is not by having a sort of intellectually elitist perspective on what blockchain is. We grow it by making it easy, by making it simple, by making it painless. It's not been painless so far. It's been massively painful. And I mean, dude, like, come on. Have you ever tried to onboard someone individually into crypto? Knew nothing about it?
Man, it is insane.
Right? You're like, okay, well, first you have to get a wallet, and then you have to, and then you have to do this. Write it down. Don't show anyone. No, you can't take a picture of it. You write it down on this piece of paper that you're going to hide somewhere. Yes, I understand that we're high tech, and yes, you still need to put things on a scroll and hide it. But whatever. Okay, and then you got to get yourself some crypto. Well, how are you going to get some crypto? Okay, well, you're going to have to do this pain in the ass thing where you have to do all this TradFi bullshit to connect your bank account to your Coinbase account so you can buy some Ethereum so that you can send it to yourself. Holy crap, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Yeah. Okay, and it doesn't have to be, because most people don't want to do any of that. They just want to use crap that works.
Yep.
And it's super important, and I don't understand why more people don't like sort of clue into that. And so for me, that's what's really important, and that's a main sort of crux of our push at DataGram.
That's awesome, man. I love builders like yourself who are kind of thinking on that front, where it's like the UX right now terrible, the onboarding experience right now is pretty terrible. So we
awful, man.
Yeah, we need builders like you who are actually kind of thinking about like, well, how can we make this like easier for the overall end user and not just for Web3 nerds?
And the way that we do that is we take the Web3 nerds. Okay, you and I are Web3 nerds. Okay, we wouldn't be here if we weren't Web3 nerds, right? Like, nobody else is, in Hong Kong at 1:30 in the morning doing a live stream. Okay, if they're not a Web3 nerd, like that's a Web3 nerd thing to do, right? Because crypto never sleeps. This is normal for us, right?
Yeah.
For me though, I can be that interface. If I spun up a service, I could accept fiat from people, turn around, buy tokens, and then push those into the ecosystem, service everybody. The difficulty goes on me, and I'm totally used to that sort of thing. It's not even a problem for me, but it makes it so much easier for everybody else. Everybody wins in that scenario, and that's what we have to do.
So, Jason, you've created this everybody wins scenario. Businesses get businesses get lower costs and a framework that they can kind of easily build on top of. End users actually get the ability to participate in this because, you know, before it was just centralized to like 4 or 5, really, not even really, but I feel like AWS and Azure are like 70% of the market or something crazy.
Correct.
So now the end user can actually participate in this and be incentivized to participate in this. So I got to ask you, because, you know, sometimes these new technologies come out, people are adverse to all these benefits because they're just like, nah, no way. No way is it like that, really, you know?
It's got to be harder. It's got to be a catch.
Exactly. It's got to be a catch. So what has been the reception from like businesses and end users so far who have been utilizing the platform?
We've got about 200 businesses that are currently utilizing DataGram. Okay. And these are businesses that all use it from many of them are from like a video conferencing perspective, because what the video conferencing does is it's a hyper secure, self-managed, self-hosted video conferencing setup. So rather than using a sort of centralized service like Zoom or Google Meets or something like that, where all of your connections are going back to some central server somewhere and then sort of going out from there. This is a sort of very dynamic tunneling system, which allows, you know, video conferencing, you know, two-way real-time communications. So that's where a lot of the people are, you know, building. But the reality is that you can build so much on top of this entire ecosystem. And most companies, when they start to look at it, are extremely impressed, because there's a lot of flexibility that is given. And, you know, we have some things that that we like to do in terms of, you know, ecosystem growth and working together and stuff like that. But honestly, anyone can come and build on the network. That's, you know, the idea is to make it as open as possible.
Man, that's absolutely huge. Actually, I had a question actually for your, specifically with the L1 architecture. Are you going you know, because we had the Avalanche Etna upgrade come out, are you going the permissionless route, or are you going to be kind of more on the permission side of things?
We would like to be as permissionless as possible.
Excellent.
You know, you can't put up walls, man. Like, you gotta let things build. And the more you do that, the more you open things up, the more people can come in and build. And one of the things that I've learned in my years in this industry, it's been a long freaking time now, man. The thing that I've learned is that the community has its own wisdom. The community has some of the most dedicated builders that you will ever see. If they get involved in a project and they're excited about it, they will build amazing stuff. And your job as a project is to, is this a PG-13 thing, or can I get a tiny bit spicy?
You can get a little spicy, my friend. Let's go. Let's Web3.
Your job as a project is to get the fuck out of the way. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, get out of the way. Let the people build. And your job is to facilitate, give them what they need, help them with your unique knowledge and information. But otherwise, stay the hell out of their way, because they know what they want to do. You just need to let them do it. And if you let them do it, then they'll make amazing stuff. If you roadblock them and you lock them behind all sorts of, you know, crazy ass like requirements, it's just a nightmare. Just get out of the way. Let them build.
That's awesome, dude. And, you know, I know you've been building using Avalanche architecture. How do you feel from a let them build perspective? Do you feel like Avalanche has kind of hit that mold?
Yeah, I think that the and again, this may you know, tread on sacred ground a little bit here. I don't know, but like as for me, my experience as a builder is that Avalanche has done a fantastic job in making it possible for builders who know how to build to build. What could be done, and this is an industry-wide thing, this is not just a thing for Avalanche, is that what we need to do is we need to make it easier for builders who don't know how to build to build.
Yeah.
Because anytime you're working, like, EVM structures, not the easiest thing in the world to learn. Okay, Solidity, not the easiest language on the planet to master. Okay, and if you are used to it, it's great. If you're not used to it, it's clunky as hell. And so, what I would love to see, and this isn't necessarily Avalanche's job to build, but this is just like my wish list, is I'd love to see more sort of templatized no-code platforms for deployment, so that people can put stuff together in a way that makes it easier for them, and that are to a certain extent pre-audited, so that, like, that each of the pieces, like, if you plug in this piece and you don't change this piece, then it's good to go. Sort of thing. I would like to see more stuff like that just in the space in general, because I think it would make a big difference for new builders who are coming in for the first time.
I agree as well. I feel like it would make a absolutely huge impact. If I'm kind of comparing what you're saying, and stop me if I'm wrong, in Web2 we have Squarespace, right? Where if
Correct.
I want a website with e-commerce capabilities and email campaigns and everything like that, I can do that. No code,
drag, drop, plug it in, click go.
Yep.
And that sort of thing.
I feel like that's what we're trending towards, especially teams like Gogopool, that's kind of focusing on making it super easy to launch L1s. We have obviously AvaCloud as well, that's making it doing as easy of a job as possible, making it as easy of a job as possible. And then on top of that, we have now this entirely new industry, this AI agent industry that is now forming, which I feel like at some point in time will be like a layer that just sits on top of everything, and eventually
it will 100%.
Yeah,
I talked about that on a panel today with Zero G and Aether and a few other people here at Consensus. It's a very, very interesting future that we are heading into right now.
It's an interesting future because we've actually seen this future in countless sci-fi movies.
So many movies. This never ends well for us, though, man. This never ends well.
That is the one caveat. But hey, we may get a couple hundred years of bliss.
That'd be nice. No, I'm just worried when I power up my my LLM and it says, "I can't let you do that, Jason." And then, it locks me out of the spaceship. And then, it's terrible.
Oh, man.
It's terrible.
Yeah, we're heading towards a very, very interesting, a very different time. Like, the world is definitely not going to look the same. Like,
it's moving so quickly. It's blinding.
Yeah. Actually, speaking, because I always kind of like to, towards the end of these things, talk a little bit about the future and kind of vision. Can you talk a little bit about like what the future looks like for DataGram? Like, where do you see this thing growing to?
Well, for us, there's a lot of stuff that we're working on right now. I mean, for April, May, you're going to see the kickoff of a node offering from us. Followed probably by 45, 60 days of the TGE. But for me, our focus right now is onboarding partners, onboarding people to get them building on the substrate, and then also doing the alpha deployment so that everybody can begin using DataGram, building on the DataGram substrate, deploying DataGram nodes so that they can get used to it. There is a neither confirmed nor denied rumor that I'm aware of, that if you're operating a DataGram node and actually using it, then there may or may not no statement as to which direction this goes be some form of incentive in the future for your operation and performance as we go through this alpha part of things. Very, very obscure, don't know, who knows. And you would find that software at see everyone spin that up and see what they think and start having conversations with one another, and having video calls and playing with it, download the SDK and, see what you can do with it. Because there's some pretty cool stuff that is possible.
See, for the audience out there, you may or may not have gotten some alpha, my friends.
May or may not. Who knows? No, I have no idea. I just work here. I don't know.
I'm just CEO. No big deal. Well, Jason, I really appreciate you for popping on today.
My pleasure, man.
We're coming up close to time here, and I wanted to open the floor for any sort of final thoughts, closing remarks, anything you want to share.
Sure.
The floor is yours.
What I would love to do is I'd like to invite everyone to come join our community. Community is really, really, really important to me. Those of you who have been with me through my careers, I've worked in a few different places, know that community is really important to me. Everywhere I go, I have community events. I spin things up. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to do that while I'm here in Hong Kong this time. It's just like literally my first meeting of the day is like at 6:30 in the morning, and my day finishes at like 2 a.m. every single day. Nightmare. But community is super important. So I would invite everyone to join our Discord, join our Telegram, get involved, come talk to people, come ask questions, spin up a node and contribute to thinking in the space. Let us know what you think. If there's something that doesn't make sense, tell us. If there's something you don't understand, tell us. There's so much that we can all do together here. But gotta be part of the community to play. So come hang out and let us know what you think.
Hey, for everyone out there, please make sure that you're listening to my friend Jason here, and you make sure that you're following everything that he's saying, and you're following him on Twitter. For you folks out there, if you're looking to follow him, he has done a very good job in marketing, and he's put his tag right there. It's like,
boom.
Mine is not there, but it's like, yeah, there you go. You go right, a little bit over there, a little bit. Yeah,
there we go.
So if you're looking to follow him, please make sure you go ahead and hit that follow button. I also got scrolling across the bottom ticker here. Make sure you follow the AVAX account. Make sure you're following at DGram Network as well. Super duper important. And I'm also going to give you folks a pro tip out there. I've been giving this pro tip out for the last couple of months. So I hope you folks have been paying attention. Please make sure you hit the bell notifications, my friend. That will make sure that anytime DataGram posts or AVAX posts, you get the notification, and you want to make sure that you can stay up to date with everything that's happening. As you can see, 200 to 300 companies running on this team, 2 to 3 million people using DataGram right now, baby. They don't even know that they're using it. They're using it in the background, and it's all on an Avalanche L1. Absolutely huge, my friend. Again, Jason, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. Next episode, Jason's going to be giving out style tips, how to match the sunglasses with the vibes. Yeah. So make sure you folks tune in for that. You got to put bell notifications on Jason's account just for that episode, because baby. But again, appreciate you so much, Jason. To the audience out there, appreciate you folks. I'm going to end this thing in the usual way I end things, and that is, you don't have to go home, but you got to get up on out of here, y'all. Peace.